Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Studio Rats Q&A Live post NAMM special number 186. My name's James Ivey, and as you can tell, I'm on my lonesome. Now, my dear friend and colleague, Mr. Paul Drew, has gone down with what we in the trade refer to as NAMthrax. It is the bug that everyone who goes to NAMM gets, and I'm very lucky that so far I've got it as well. So I have trusty box of tissues for no other reason other than to keep blowing my nose. So if it goes off, it means I'm not subjecting you with me blowing my hooter. But I thought, no, you deserve a post NAMM special. So a post NAMM special is what you will get. None of this, I'm feeling a bit poorly malarkey. I'm joking. I've been there. I've had it. I don't like it. Mr. Drew, I hope you're feeling better shortly. But we will carry on. If anybody fancies joining the chat tonight, please do. I've put the links early doors up there somewhere. It might be different on yours. I found some stuff that as yet we haven't talked about. Thank you to those who stayed up very, very late to join us for the successful, I think we referred to it as a pubcast in the end because there might have been a few beers involved. The Saturday night show, quite frankly, crashed and burned when the NAMM press Wi-Fi wasn't very Wi or indeed Fi. So once again, apologies about that. But the Sunday night show was a great success. We had an audience. Well, we had people in drinking with us. I'd like to say thank you to Aaron for joining us on that show, Vinny for diving in. The guys from Electric Owl Works were there. They were fantastic, sticking with us all the way through. Yeah, it was great to have so many Rat fans with us throughout the week. I'm going to try and get through as many comments and questions as we can. Just a quick one, though. It is just me. And so if we don't get through them all before my voice goes or whatever, I do apologize. I also apologize to anyone who thought that there was going to be, we're going to do the normal kind of read through the comments thing on the NAMM shows, the NAMM live shows. It was very difficult, as I'm sure you can appreciate. So please, apologies to anyone who thought we were going to get through the normal stuff. But tonight we will plow on through. I've dived through the kind of the tons of press releases and tried to find stuff that's not quite so the norm, as it were. But we'll get to that shortly. Let's dive in and start with some comments. So if anyone does want to join me, they're more than welcome to. So let's start with diving in. Nabs, hello and welcome back, jet-lagged rats. Yeah, I am feeling that a little bit. Hope you're well rested and ready for tonight. Well, as it turns out, not so much. I really loved the interview at Blue Guitar. Looking forward to for tonight. Cheers. Yes, that new Blue Guitar Amp X really does look something. I get the feeling Thomas genuinely has tried to think of everything, and he's trying to do everything exceptionally well, which is why the delay. But hey, that's one of those things. They're a small company, they're a small developer, so we'll just have to cross our fingers that we get it at some point in the next 12 months. Truth, fact, reality. I like that one. Really interested in hearing about the Blue Guitar Amp X. Yes, it sounded spectacular. Paul did an interview and got some sound captures and things from Thomas and the team at Blue. And, oh, it sounds so good. So good. So really looking forward to getting that one into demo very, very shortly. But, yeah, very, very impressed by it. I hope that we do finally see it this year at some point. But as soon as it arrives, definitely we will be there. Gary Simmons says, any thoughts on the best bang for buck pound electronic drum kit? Something a long life drummer wouldn't hate the feel of and won't break the bank. About $2,500 US dollars. Silent, quiet stage, tiny bars, etc. So I did try a couple of electric kits while we were in NAMM. I forced Paul to put up with it while I was noodling, flamming, bucket of fishing and all those sort of things. And the new Yamahas do sound very, very nice. But of course, the new Yamaha kits come with the new Yamaha kit price tag. I would say if you're looking for something that is gonna say be good enough for bars, clubs, that sort of thing, I would go second hand and I would go Roland TD20. You'll get one of those easy for 2.5K, and it will not let you down. You will not be upset by it. Any of the kind of seriously cheap kits by like Alesis or what's the orange company I forgot what they're called. All the drums and heads and things are orange. They sound good, but the Roland stuff is where it's at. Roland have been doing electronic drums brilliantly for years. So an older TD20 you could pick up for probably not that much dough, and it will serve you very well. And it looks more like a real kit as well because they're bigger actual drums rather than little flat plastic pads or anything like that. So have a look on the auction sites and see what you can acquire. Paul's chimed in already. James is solo tonight, guys, as I've come down with NAMM Thrax. Yep. I'll try to stay in the chat as long as I can. I hope you're feeling better, mate. I think it's going to hit me tomorrow, if I'm honest. Mississippi Blues, evening all. I've just been watching the Mark Knopfler guitar auction. Crazy prices. For a very obvious reason, I haven't been watching it. But yeah, the number of guitars and stuff in that list was pretty spectacular. So I'll have a look when the final auction notes are published so you can see how much they went for. But yeah, as soon as you put a player like that's name as a provenance with a guitar, it's going to go up in price soon or pretty quick. Electrical works. Oh, there they go. Oh no, feel better soon to Paul. Ampex chat might have to wait till next week unless James can fill in. But I was really impressed. Yeah, I mean, we talked about it on the Sunday night show, and of course, there's a video out. So if you want to get our full opinions on it, do check out that video. But yeah, it's impressive. Let me just do this a second. As I said, you don't need to be hearing that. Jeff Cook says, pinching a punch for the first of the month down here in the colonies. Anyway, hope everyone's feeling wonderful. Well, wonderful, yes. It's not quite pinching a punch here yet because it's still only 8 o'clock. But 4 hours, yes, all that rabbits stuff will be kicking off. Cheers, fella. Hope you got back safe. That's to Electric Out, I'm guessing. Scrunge, hope you enjoyed NAMM, but do you think the Indonesian new Pacifica is a bit of a price, given the price equivalent made Revstar? Those new Pacificas, and there is also a video out on them, are spectacular. Very, very tasty guitars indeed. Robbie, the demonstrator, and Brandon, the product specialist, who turns out in a previous life was Brandon at Norm's Rare Guitars, so does know his onions. Really, really nice. I like the blue one. I think I might have actually put that in. No, I haven't. No, I actually haven't. Or have I in my notes? No, we did. So we did talk about them on Sunday's show, but yeah, really, really nice guitars. It's almost the ultimate studio kind of Strat, stroke Les Paul, stroke Telly type guitar. That's certainly what they've gone for, the one size fits all guitar. And I also have another toy that I picked up that could aid that, but we'll get to that in a little bit when we've got a few more bodies on. So, who's not? Keith Milner's in the house. Evening all from KL. I'm guessing that's Kuala Lumpur. I'm not quite sure whether you are, Keith, but I'm guessing KL is Kuala Lumpur. 2. Just 2 from Paul. Aaron's in the house. Hey guys, feels like NAMM was a month ago. Great to see you both. Great to hang with you, Aaron. It's funny. Paul and I are obviously show finished Sunday. Paul and I then had Monday to get to the airport, but we said we've got we don't fly till 6 o'clock in the evening. So we decided we'd go up to Hollywood to go to Sam Ash and Guitar Center in Hollywood, because quite frankly, they're the two half decent of those brand guitar shops, or music shops, should I say, because Sam Ash has got a drum shop opposite and stuff. And once again, my feelings towards guitar stores and music stores held totally true. We'd been into the Guitar Center in Anaheim, which quite frankly is not the greatest shop, or not the shop it used to be. It's all right, but still, you very much get that, oh, how dare you come into our shop and attempt to buy anything vibe. And sadly, it was very similar in the Guitar Center in Hollywood as well. It's a massive shop. I mean, it is enormous. Their vintage and sort of like high end room is the size of most good music shops in the UK. The place is massive. They've got everything. But still, we walk in there and they don't know us from Adam. They walk in there, no one says hello. No one greets us. No one chats. It was first thing on a Monday morning, 11 o'clock they opened. We were in there just after. We went for an amazing meal beforehand, but I'll tell you about that in a minute. And we went in and were nearly, I think we were pretty much completely ignored. Not a dicky bird out of the staff. And I remember saying to Paul, it feels like we're back in the UK. Went over the road to Sam Ash, completely different story. You know, people are chatting, people are engaging, asking about what we're after, you know, doing what salespeople should do, and that's getting to know the potential client. And to that point, I actually spent some money in there. Not a great deal, but still spent some actual cash, and I'll show you what I got in a minute. But yes, really, really good, and far more what I'd expect from a high-end music shop. Again, that Sam Ash shop, the two Sam Ash shops are really big. No, they're huge. We don't have anything like that here anymore. We really don't. I mean, Guitar is about as big as it gets over here. And yeah. Oh, dear. But cheers to the team at Sam Ash. I'll show you now what I got, because I feel there is enough of you in to do it. So I've been after one of these for a little while, and because I was buying something else, I thought I'd try the what's the Jivey discount line, and I got myself one of these. This is the Soldano SLO Super Lead Overdrive pedal, and I plugged it in today, and it rocks. It is by far the best high gain distortion pedal I've ever heard. It is awesome. Is it an SLO 100 in a pedal? Not sure. Is it a really, really, really good drive pedal? Yes. It's not an overdrive. It is definitely a distortion all the way up to you know, taking over the world of evil. It's an awesome thing. But I will take this with me next time I go and see Paul, and we will get to play through it. But sounds awesome. Excuse me a moment. Now, the other pedal that I bought, I did some research post buying it, came out in 2012 from the team at Voodoo Labs. And I've mentioned this pedal a couple of times. And it's this baby. This is the Voodoo Labs Giggity pedal, or as Paul said, it should be called the Giggity pedal. That's another story. But this thing is not only a very cool drive pedal, it can also do some clever stuff, changing the tonality of your guitar, either from Strat to Les Paul, or Les Paul to Strat, or kind of Les Paul to kind of 335-esque tones. Very, very cool pedal. So I whacked this one in today, and it does some magic. This kind of James Santiago, currently of Universal Audio, previously Voodoo Labs, refers to it as the sun and the moon settings. Very, very cool. And I played through this and went, I forgot how good this thing is. And I got an absolute steal on this secondhand. So, yeah, Again, this one will go over to Paul, and I will hopefully convince the world that this is a really good pedal and one to seek out if you get the opportunity. Other than that, didn't actually buy very much. Got some good NAMM swag, but we'll come on to that shortly. Electric Owlwork says, greetings at the Studio Rats, Jivey, and everyone from South Wales, New York, USA. Just got home from NAMM very early this morning from Chaz. Yeah, we got back about midday. We landed at just after midday Tuesday in the UK. I then had to dash, literally had to run to the car, didn't even go home, had to go straight to school to pick up the kids. It was a little bit touch and go whether I got there, but I did, as it turned out, which was all good. So, hi Chaz and the crew at Electric Owlworks. Thomas Ross, good evening from BC. I'm guessing that's British Columbia. Our Lizzie's in the house. Evening, James. Hope all is well and you're not too jet lagged. Yeah, I'm fairly fried, if I'm totally honest. Watching while stood mixing a gig, so can't hear what you're saying. To be honest, mate, you're not missing much. Aaron Shaw again says, can't believe how jet lagged I am. It's only 3 hours difference from CA to NY. Yeah, it's 8 hours difference, 10-hour flight. Pretty much 9:50, I think it was. He must have stuck his toe down. But yeah, it was a good trip, wasn't it? We had a good hang. I know that's what everyone goes on about, but NAMM will exist because it's a really good hang. The weather was lovely. I mean, it was 26 degrees on Monday. We were wandering around Hollywood. Lovely. So yeah, all is well. Notarius, what piece of gear were you most excited about? Oh, so hard to say. I'm gonna be honest and say, as I said on the 2 live shows at the weekend, or the 1 live show at the weekend, I had 2 hats on at the show. For the first 2 days, I was product specialist for a new company called AIM Audio, launching 2 new mics, the Inspire and the Essence. And then I was wandering around with Paul, and we were doing some stuff. He was doing some stuff with me on Saturday and Sunday, being a studio rat. I have to say, as innovation goes, our new mic is pretty damn cool. And when I get one, I will, put it to. Obviously, there'll be a product video that I'll have to do, but I will get it in the studio and start using it on stuff. And hopefully, you'll be as pleased and impressed with it as I am. But I mean, there's lots of cool stuff, but not a great deal of what you might call innovation at the show this year. Lots of same old, same old. I've got some news to go through. It wouldn't be a live stream without it, but yeah, lots of tweaks on stuff. The Pacificas look great. I love our microphone. Of course I do. I was involved with its creation. I'm sure I'll think of some more things as we go through. But yeah, those 2 for now, Mix Harris. Michael Vandenhoff, is Tonex dead? Absolutely not. Far, far, far from it. There are things coming in the pipeline that we can't tell you about that both Paul and I just went, wow. And I'm not going to use the word game changer because I'm just not. But very, very cool stuff coming from the team at IK. And yeah, so Tonex is definitely not dead. The Tonex, for those of you who have joined TSR Jivey Talks Tech, the alternative Studio Rats channel, there's our live on the floor demo of using Tonex on the IK Multimedia booth. So when you come off here, search for TSR Jivey Talks Tech, and there's a couple of videos from NAMM there as well. So check those ones out if you haven't already. But I know you haven't because there's not very many people watch that video yet. So yeah, check out the video live with IK Multimedia, and yeah, hopefully you're impressed. But definitely, Tonex is not dead. Did you get to demo the very high-end Victory amps? Look beautiful. Wondering if you have any opinion on it. I didn't get to try them. I don't think Paul did either. No, actually, there's a video out for them fairly soon, I believe. So yes, I guess that'll be coming fairly shortly. We're trying to drip feed this stuff out rather than just go because that seems pointless. But yeah, I think Paul will have something to say about those soon. Okay, let's scroll down a little bit. Graham Fogg, anything new from Line 6 Helix 2? No, not that we saw. Nothing new on that front, sadly. So, yeah. I NAMM isn't the essential launch platform that it used to be. You know, once upon a time, there were two main shows. There was NAMM and there was Music Messe in Frankfurt, Germany. Now there Messe's gone. Sort of the London shows have gone. Most of the guitar shows in the UK have gone. There's one, possibly two now. Times they are a changing, so big companies don't feel the need to force the development to get it done in time for NAMM anymore. It just doesn't work that way, sadly. So I'm sure we'll see some stuff from those guys soon, but for now, not so much. Sorry about that. I'm going to keep stopping every so often because you really don't need to hear that. Right. Aaron says, NAMM Wi-Fi is shocking. I would have paid $80 for the premium version, but it was only 2 meg. Yeah. As press or media, as the body that is NAMM refer to it, we get access to the media centers, or there was 2 this year. I think there's normally 3, but there was 2 this year. And the Wi-Fi and the stuff is supposed to be really good. Previous years it has been. This year, really not. They don't seem to think that download speed is not so important for us. It's the upload speed that's important, because obviously we're trying to get stuff into the cloud. We're trying to get stuff for live streams, things like that. So I have sent a very snotty letter to the NAMM press people to say politely, we just won't come. There's no point in us coming. One bloke was on the Saturday, one bloke was quite hard work when I said, look, we're doing this thing, we're doing it live, and we're having an audience. He went, no one's booked it with me. I said, but we did in advance. Here's the email proof. Oh, well, no one told me. So that isn't really my fault, is it? I've done what we were supposed to do to arrange this and get it all done and organised properly. And yeah, they didn't really get it. So it didn't make much difference. The Wi-Fi was shocking. Yeah, very bad news. But I have complained bitterly. Ninamido says, welcome home, rats. Get well soon. I think we both need a bit of that at the minute. Should I sell a few pedals and instead buy myself a Collision Devices black hole symmetry? It could replace at least one of my delays and reverbs. Each. It's a lot of money, though. I don't actually know that pedal. There's a few pedals that came out at NAMM that I thought, oh, I like that. Yeah, lots of stuff for Paul to dig into, I think, when he comes back. I'm not aware of that particular reverb and delay. If it's one of these all singing, all dancing things, I'm pretty sure it'll be marvelous. Al says, what did you think of the PJDs? PJD in my world is a type of drum kit, so I don't think that's what you mean. Yeah, not sure what you mean now. Help me out a little bit. Yeah, the bold one isn't with me right now, so help me out. Aaron says, maybe those shots kept the germs away. I'm surprised that I made the 8 a.m. flight. Yeah, you were bouncing off the wall, buddy. I will say that. Shahar's in. Hey, James, where's the baldy fella? And the baldy fella says, COVID, mate. We should all go to Sweetwater one day. Definitely. I really want to go to... I'm told Fort Wayne, Indiana is a very odd place, but Sweetwater's pretty amazing. So, yes. Shahabar says, nice, some nice American style COVID. Yes, indeed. I think we're all... I don't feel rank yet, but I get the feeling I probably will tomorrow. Sorry about that. Yes, we're all feeling a bit bleh. Right. Aaron says, GC and SA can be a bit hit and miss. It all depends on who's working. Yep, clearly. The shop's got loads of cool stuff, but nobody wants to talk to us in GC and say how much we're really good. So they got our money. Paul, are you planning to go, on going again next year? I think we're both planning. We've already said it's not the stuff. It's the chance meetings you have. Um, Last night we were stood in the bar of the Marriott, and the captain and Danish Pete came up to us and started chatting. We had a beer with them. Um, yeah, really lovely chaps. Really enjoyed our chat and our catch up and stuff. It's the hang and the chance things that happen. The guys from Yamaha were amazing. Robbie, the demo guy, is probably going to come on one of these live streams with us very soon. Really lovely chap. So yeah, I think even if Paul doesn't go like he did in April, I will definitely go. There'll probably be AIM audio type stuff that I can do anyway. So yeah, I'm just going to do this again. 1 second. I've also realised I've just put my mic back on. That's a bit silly, isn't it? You're all going to tell me, yeah, yeah. Sorry, my mistake. I need to probably go back. You can't get the staff these days when you do it yourself. I can't remember where I got to, but it'll all make sense. Use the transcription to watch it back. Yes, we did think about doing an Airbnb for next time, but we also thought that being in one of the bigger hotels like the Marriott or the Sheraton or the Hilton makes sense as well because you're more likelihood of meeting people. Although I'm very glad we didn't stay in the Sheraton because the staff outside were kicking off and making noise with drums and loud hailers at 5 o'clock in the morning. And although most of the time I was up by then, the idea of being forced to get up by then isn't so appealing. So, yes. Steve, if you want to come in and join us, you are more than welcome. But so far, I can't see your camera or hear you. John Waller says, rats. Yes, indeed. And Steve says, I'm back at work today, not the dreaded virus. Good. I've tested as well, and it's not the dreaded virus from me either. But that's not to say it won't develop into it. Who knows? So if you want to join in the fun, Steve, whack your camera on and we're going to have a chat if you're in any way, shape or form feeling up to it. Oh, there he is. Geo Sundance. Tonex needs a tuner badly. I completely agree. Who knows what may happen? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Mr. Steve Genowick.
Hey. Sorry, I was
How are
sitting
you,
here
buddy?
working and I stumbled upon you.
Oh,
I'm good. How are you feeling?
I don't feel horrific, but I've definitely, I think I'm 4 lem sips in for the day,
Yeah.
and I haven't achieved very much today. I had plans to get some editing done and stuff like that, but I don't feel terrible. I mean, Paul obviously is feeling significantly worse to have completely bailed, but yeah, in the grand scheme of things, I'm not too bad.
Well, today's the first day I've been back vertical, so
Because you didn't do Sunday, did you, at the show?
I'm not. No.
No,
By
very
the time
very
when I
sensible.
see that, I'm pretty sick though.
I missed
But
that,
I'm
mate.
fine now. Session tomorrow, I'm fine. So,
Cool.
you know,
Well, glad
not
to hear you're back in
tested negative the whole time, so we're good.
glad to hear you're back in the land of the vertical, not the horizontal.
Exactly. Gonna work out some new microphones tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, one of the things we did manage to do is get a pair of the new mics to Steve in order to do some tracking sessions and stuff. So
Yeah.
what are you doing tomorrow that you might get to use them on?
Classical piano.
Ooh.
Because that's right up my alley with what I do every day. But I've actually been working on this classical piano record, so it happens to be tomorrow. So we'll
Cool.
put them up next to what we've already been using and see what happens.
Mm.
Yeah.
And if it sounds terrible, let me know. It sounds brilliant. Let everybody know.
Yeah. It sounds terrible. You'll never hear about this again.
Well, it's the end of a beautiful friendship.
No, I'm sure it's all good.
What scared me was as I came to put some laundry away, having done my laundry yesterday, I put away my Mix of the Masters t-shirt. It said 2015 on it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow. A long time
Yeah.
ago.
It's a
Like a
very long
different
time ago.
lifetime. I know.
And yet
Actually,
I'm still
I found a Mix with the Masters t-shirt the other day too, actually.
um and yet I still start an awful lot of stories. That time I did Mix of the Masters.
I gotta say, I mean, Al and I did it like 9 or 10 times, and it was always the most fun week we had every year. We loved doing Mix with the Masters, and we have great friends all over the world to this day.
Yeah.
You included. I mean, I knew you before you actually went to Mix with the Masters, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's just such a great program. They do such a great job, and it's really fun connecting with people. And I mean, I still watch the videos and stuff. I learn stuff all the time.
Mm. And it's people have been asking why NAMM still exists, why NAMM will always exist, and it's about the people and the hang.
Yeah, totally.
You make connections at shows that you don't make watching a YouTube video.
Yeah,
If
totally.
it was all
I
about
don't I don't know that I actually looked at any like piece of gear. I mean, I obviously saw stuff, but I wasn't there to look at gear. I was there to, I did a couple presentations and to meet friends and talk to people and all that good stuff. Yeah, it's
yeah,
fun.
and hang out and have a laugh and do all
Yeah.
those sort of
Apparently the 2 days after suck, but
things.
this is actually the first time I've gotten sick at NAMM, so I'm not too I'm
Really?
okay.
I
Yeah.
I always come down with NAMM back.
No.
And yet the
Mm.
irony this time was that Paul and I thought we'd been quite smart. Back when we booked our flights, I booked seat A, he booked seat C on the sort of premise that most people travel in pairs
Right.
and no one had booked the middle seat. And they didn't
Right.
on the way out. And on the way back, the flight that I expected to be the really busy one, the sort of 6 p.m. Monday flight home, was only a third full. There were had a whole row to themselves.
Wow, that's nice.
So while we thought we'd done well, we had our space to ourselves, and it was okay. People were staggering, so you could have your seat tilted back and not be, headbutting someone in the face every time you did it.
Yeah, you gotta like those flights, especially long haul flights when you luck out like that. Usually you get those from like here to San Francisco on the 45-minute flight.
Yeah.
The only time I've ever been upgraded was going from LA to San Francisco. It's literally a 40-minute flight. I was like, gee, thanks. Excuse me.
Yeah, it's one of those. So I've only ever managed to pull an upgrade once, and it was the day I flew home from NAMM on my birthday.
There you go.
And she was very, very kind of, oh, it's your birthday. Let me see what we can do. And I got bumped from premium to business, which
It's
is,
never a bad thing.
quite a jump.
On a 10-hour, 12-hour flight, that's a big deal.
Yeah, even though you're asleep for most of it on the way home, it doesn't matter.
That's the idea.
Yes.
That's the idea.
So anything else particular? Obviously, didn't. Obviously, there was one microphone that was particularly amazing that you saw, but
of course. Anything else?
Yeah, anything that you sort of stumbled across and went,
I can't say there is actually. Again, I wasn't looking too hard. I stumbled across a lot of friends, which was
I think we missed that. Stumbled across a lot of what?
You there? Did I lose you?
Yeah, lost me.
A lot of friends I hadn't seen in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a certain irony there, because bear in mind, most of the people you work with in and sort of the LA scene are there at some point. No. Oh.
They're back. I
We're back.
see you again.
I'm not sure if it's me or you, mate. I'm definitely here. No, he's gone. No.
Telling me to move closer to my router. I'm right next to my router.
There we go.
All right, I'll actually get closer to the router. Even though I'm sitting right next to it.
Yeah. So obviously, a lot of the guys you work with on a session by session basis are all there because it's the LA scene.
Oh yeah, totally.
So
yeah, it's funny because in the pro audio side, I see all my engineer producer friends, and then once in a while you have to wander over, to the carnival on the other side, and that's why I run into musicians, which is always fun. Yeah, I ran into Dean Parks and Tarek and Nathan East and a bunch of those guys. Lee Sklar was there. I didn't see him though. I had a presentation, and we walked up, and there was like a line around like a huge line, and I was going with one other guy I was on the panel with, and we thought, oh my God, what is this? And we realized that the immediate family guys, Cooch and Lee Sklar and those guys, were in the room next to us.
Right.
But yeah,
and the funny thing is about NAMM, or another one of the lovely things about NAMM, is because those guys are there to sort of be a glad hand and do all the endorsement deals, all that sort of thing. They're all approachable. It's not like, oh my God, there's Nathan East over in the corner. How dare you go and talk to him? It's almost expected. They're there to be talked to. If they're on a booth, if they're milling around, they're there to be talked to. It's great.
They're just people. They just happen to be very good musicians.
Yeah, and
but so everybody's there. Yeah, I think if you're there, you expect to talk to people.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, don't show up.
Yeah, I mean, and they've all got endorsement deals that they have to kind of glad hand enough people and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it just great. I love it. I love the fact that you can wander around. There's Nathan East. Oh, there's who else did I literally bump into? Quite shockingly, I forgot. My brain's mush.
Musician.
Musician, drummer, amazing.
Narrows it down.
I was about to say it doesn't really, does it?
Who I saw Bissonette was there, but I didn't see him.
I didn't. I'd heard he was going to be there, and I wanted to get to see him because he's a Dixon endorsee, and I didn't get there in time.
And I saw, who else did I see drummer wise? I saw Greg Field. He was roaming around. I don't remember any other drummers, to be honest with you.
I don't remember. My brain went to mush at that minute. I didn't quite have my Simon Phillips can't speak moment like I did when I actually met Simon Phillips for the first time. But
I don't think Simon was there, was he?
He was. Yeah, he was there on Saturday.
Ah, damn, I missed him.
Friday. I lie. because Paul said, I'm sat in the media centre next to Simon Phillips, and I'm like, you, because that was one of the days I was stuck to the booth. So
I love Simon. He's one of my favorites. I was
Paul,
the assistant engineer on that first Toto record he did.
the Tambu record,
Yeah.
such a good sounding record.
Yeah, well, that's Elliot Shiner, not me.
Well, and
I just got food.
but to be fair, so we've had that conversation. Oh, I really like that album. He said, yeah, that was me and Al. Oh, I really like that record. Oh, yeah, that was me and Al. You know, anything with horns on, almost.
It was me and Al.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, well, you hang out with the right people. So it's fun.
Someone said to me the other day, how do you get a really good sound in the studio? And I said, it's actually really easy. You get a really good room with really good players, with really good instruments, and try not to mess it up.
Yep, that's exactly what it is. So I saw there was a picture somebody posted of Nathan East and Lee Sklar, and I just thought if you ever want to get a good bass sound, that's how you do it. Because
Yeah.
I mean, I record those guys all the time, and they either use my DI or they bring their DI, and I push the fader up, and then I move on. It's literally that simple. I just get a good level. I don't compress it. I don't EQ it. I just let them do what they do. They come in, they hear it in their headphones.
Mhm.
They'll come into the control room and go, I'm gonna add a little bottom, and they, but it's all them.
Yeah.
With bass, I mean, acoustic bass is a little bit different. That's a little bit more challenging sometimes, but with those guys on electric bass, it's easy.
It's the standard studio joke, isn't it? Simon Phillips turns up with a 37-piece drum kit and 40 microphones,
Right.
and you're there for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Nathan East turns up.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. Although Al and I did a thing in Germany, and Simon was there with his huge kit, and we put 267s over the top of the kit and pushed the faders up, and we all went, "Oh, that's cool." And most of what the sound was, even Simon was like, "No, I'm fine with that." I mean, we ended up pushing some other stuff in just because it was Simon, but had we just used the 267s over the top, everybody would have been completely happy. Because it's Simon too. He plays to it. He was hearing it, and he just adjusts. So,
But didn't you? That was the Paderborn Drum Festival, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And you had more Neumann mics than Neumann.
Probably. Well, we were in Germany.
Yeah.
Still not as many as we had at Capitol.
Yeah, all right.
I still miss it. Apparently, Capitol will be back beginning of next year. What I've been
Oh, that'd
told.
be cool.
Yeah. So, yes, the rumors are not true. It was always coming back. It was never permanently closed. So.
No, I remember speaking to you when I was like, "Oh my god, does that mean it's gone?" And it was like, "No, there's no point in trying to do earthquake proofing work and have a recording studio at the same time."
Yeah, no, you can't. It's impossible. It's a construction zone right now. So,
have they stripped everything out as well, other than the console? Presumably not the consoles, but
well, the studios, there was no construction in the studios. So before we shut down, we took all the equipment out of the studios. We left the frames of the consoles, and we left the internal wiring. So the wiring from the console, the patch bay, and all the mic lines out to the rooms and stuff like that.
Right.
But everything else we took out, put in storage. But it's really if you look at the building, there's the tower part, then there's the square part at the bottom. The square part is the studios. So there's really no construction being done in the studios. They're just kind of in the way. But they gutted the building, and they're earthquake retrofitting the building and remodeling the building. So the studios will come back. They won't look any different. I mean, aesthetically they might look different,
right?
But because now they can do this stuff like fix the lighting and fix the stuff you can't do to a recording studio without taking it down for 6 months.
Yeah.
So
because I remember the couple of times I've been with you, I've always gone. The iconic bit is the round tower.
Right.
And I always used to go, well, how can they have huge studios in this round building? And of course, the answer to that is they're not in the tower. They're in the block on the map.
Yeah. And then everybody wonders how the ceilings got so high. It's because you walk down a ramp. So
yeah,
they couldn't raise the ceiling, so they lowered the floor. But yeah, I can't wait to have those rooms back. I miss them dearly.
So presumably you'll be there, probably not as often as you were, but still fairly often once those rooms are back.
Oh, one way or another, I'll be back. Whether I'm an employee or a client, I will be back.
Very cool.
Yeah,
So presumably at the moment
absolutely.
it's East, West, or uh, not
I've been
Universal.
working at East West. I've been working at Sunset Sound. I've been working at the Village. Where else have I been working?
What's the one 2 doors up from East West?
United, but they
You know,
closed.
they've gone.
Yeah, they closed about a year ago, unfortunately.
No.
Yeah, I was doing lots of sessions there. Yeah, that was a business decision thing. I don't have the details on that. And then but there's a couple new places in town. There's a place called Silent Zoo, which used to be the Bridge. They're back up and running. For really big stuff, we've still got the scoring stages, Sony and Fox and Warner Brothers.
Right.
So it really depends. I mix at home, so that's easy. I don't have to, you know,
That
go anywhere to
Sony room is
mix.
amazing.
Sony room is my favorite room. Yeah,
That's
it's
awesome.
yeah. Oh, you're right. We went there. We were on the lot. Yeah,
We did.
might be there. Yeah,
Or as apparently the only person in the world calls it, the Barbara Streisand stage.
she calls it that.
Of course
Yeah.
she does.
Yeah, no, that's a fun room. That's one of those push the faders up and everything sounds great rooms. So, but it's not often I get to work. You got to have a big orchestra to do that. So
Yeah.
they're fewer and far between these days, unfortunately.
I mean, I've heard quite a few film scores, not the mega Hollywood stuff, but I've heard a few film scores that are really amazing samples with a few key parts just to make it sound more like give the attack a bit more authenticity and stuff. But the
Yeah,
sample libraries are so good now.
yeah. Sometimes it's hard to tell what the difference is.
Mm. The orchestral tools ones
Yeah.
are off the chart.
Yeah, and again,
I mean,
it's still about the arrangement and the writing and that kind of stuff.
yeah,
I mean, if the arrangement's good and the writing's good, you can do it. I mean, not that it's obviously better with a real orchestra. You get that
yeah.
feeling and you get people playing it. And anytime you're moving air, you're gonna be better. But some of them are really good.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh,
So
I'd love to. That's the sort of work I'd love to be doing, but sadly,
me too.
I
I mean, I get to do
have
some
got.
of it. I'm lucky.
I've got an orchestral date in a couple of months actually.
Yeah.
St John Smith Square in London,
Nice.
which is a great
Lovely.
room. It's a little on the lively side.
That's okay. Is it strings or horns?
Full orchestra.
Nice. That'll be fun.
So we'll have spot mics up, but I know full well it'll be the XY pair at the front and the rooms at the back. That's
Yeah.
where most people come from.
Or do a decatry if you got it. You know, the three in the front.
Yeah. Do you know what? I have tried to find what is the definitive Deca tree.
I think it's just the three mics, really.
So it's three in a triangle, isn't it?
Yeah. So they'll tell you. I mean, I'm sure Decca had measurements and all that stuff, but it's three Omni mics. The left and right are usually about 6 feet apart, and the front one is usually like 2 or 3 feet in front of those.
Yeah.
And traditionally, they're M50s, but they could be anything.
Yeah, because of course most mere mortals have access to three M50s.
Yeah, well, you go to Abbey Road, they have like 15 of them or something.
Yeah, the drawer of microphones comes open and Lester picks out
Exactly.
75,000 quid of the mics in one go.
Exactly. And then depending on how big your orchestra is how high you fly it. Because you want to be able to reach the back of the room. So,
Yeah.
but you always have to fill in with spot mics. In
Mm.
this day and age, everybody wants it to feel present and all that stuff. But if the players are good, it's still not that difficult. It's all about the preparation.
It's a good orchestra. It's not like a bunch of local AMs. It's a good orchestra. So
yeah. So I like to tell people it's in the control room. It's 15 minutes of chaos, and then we listen to music.
Yeah.
And most of the mixing is talking to the conductor.
That's actually the bit that I find really surreal. That having learnt this quote unquote craft, the bit of being sat there, either even with a producer's head on, is sat there listening to music and going, should we do that bit again? Drop that bit in, whatever. The technical stuff is done by the time downbeat happens.
Should be, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Unless you're the Pro Tools operator, then you're going crazy. But keeping track of takes and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, if you're recording live music, yeah, the technical stuff should be taken care of beforehand. That's the preparation, and then you're just playing music. You know, if it's a jazz record or a live rock album or something like that, you're just looking to get a really good take
Mm,
once you have your sounds together. You
yeah.
know, that's the idea. Doesn't always work out that way.
No, no, I can appreciate that, but I mean,
Yeah.
say at your level, what you're doing is much more kind of global. Whereas at my level, sometimes what I'm doing is much more in the minutia. That part doesn't work.
Yeah,
And
it really depends on the project though.
right.
Because like some of the big film scores and video game scores and stuff like that, they wanna have control over the stuff. So you end up doing everything in pieces.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, which, sometimes you're lucky enough to have the whole orchestra to have the whole orchestra there, and then you just, like, play it down, and then you're like, "Okay, now just the now just the strings, now just the woodwinds, now just" that's okay, but sometimes you're stacking. You're like, okay, first session we're gonna do the strings, and the strings go away, and or tomorrow the brass come in, or next week the percussion comes. So because everybody wants to have control, it's even on the big movies and the big video games and stuff like that. It's become a little more piecemeal, you know,
Right.
good or
Yeah,
bad.
I still there's definitely pluses to that when it comes to mixing.
Well,
Not having
it makes mixing take way longer.
really.
Oh yeah. Oh, because if everybody's in the same room, you're done.
Yeah.
You're kind of there. If it didn't happen there, you can only manipulate so much because everybody's bleeding into everybody else.
Yeah.
But if especially if, the strings didn't hear the brass, so they don't know how loud the brass is playing. So, oh, the brass played this dynamic. Well, had the strings known that, they would have played out a little bit more, stuff
Yeah.
like that. So,
And the fact that the triangle is on every single mic in the room.
exactly. As is the trumpet.
Yeah.
Or the 4 trumpets or whatever, the French horns or whatever they are, so but that's okay as long as that's okay,
Mm,
you know? It can still sound good, you just can't take it away,
yeah.
That's the caveat. You can control just about anything, but don't ask me to get rid of it because it's gonna be bleeding.
Or the thing I've had fairly recently is, can we tune that? No. No.
Nope,
Can we tune that
not at
trumpet?
all. Yeah,
No.
nope,
That was one of those. It happened. The moment's passed.
yeah. Hopefully you
Because
got
if
a couple
because if I
takes
did,
and you can
it would sound
Ooh,
horrific.
2 suddenly you have 2 trumpets.
Yeah.
It is kind of amazing what you can get away with these days, though. There have been some things where I've tuned parts inside an orchestra that I didn't think would happen, but it actually worked. It really depends on what it is. You know, I wouldn't make a habit of it, and I wouldn't expect to do it.
No.
Yeah,
But if in the absolutely golden take, if there's one bum note or slight, it's depending on which orchestra plays it, it's the opening notes of Star Wars. Ba 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 ba. That one is
right.
always the pinch point.
Well, it
And
goes way up
depending
there.
on if it's the LSO or Boston Pops or someone like that, it's always bob on. If
Right,
it's even in the versions that are available on CD, if it's one of the Eastern European orchestras or someone not quite as hot, that's the one that always hurts. And you just look,
of course. Yeah, there's those spots. You know, you always want to have the hot players.
yeah.
When you look out to the orchestra and you see familiar faces, it's always nice. Like, oh, good, Wayne
I refer
Bergeron's
to as
here.
ringers.
Our first trumpet is okay. Wayne's here.
Yeah,
Stuff like that.
I always
So,
refer to them as ringers. If you've got ringers in enough places, you're okay.
yeah, the worst feeling is watching an orchestra walk in the room and you don't know any of them. Yeah, that means you're in trouble. Although I've been pleasantly surprised in the past.
Mm.
But yeah, usually like on an LA session date, if I don't know most of the players, I'm like, uh-oh, who we got here? What are we doing? I hope this is easy stuff. How much music do we have to get through in the next 3 hours?
Is it still
So
on 3 hour like Nashville?
a union date is 3 hours in LA.
Right,
Yeah. So they get it's a 3 hour a session is 3 hours. They get 2 10-minute breaks, I believe, in that 3 hours.
right.
Um, and then if there's a second session, it'll be an hour break, and then so typically, we'll call it like, what's the date? It's a 10 to 1, 2 to 5. That's a double session.
Right.
So for the engineering staff, that means 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Unless you have to mix afterwards, and then you're there till midnight.
Yeah.
So yeah, they can be long days. Oh, and by the way, the guys that set up the day before
Yeah.
or the night before. I mean, some of the big I remember at Capitol, like when I was on the setup staff, there'd be a 40-piece orchestra. I mean, if I was doing it by myself, it could take me 6, 8 hours to set that orchestra up. Hang all the chairs and the stands and the lights and the power and the microphones, and I mean, it can take a long time to do.
Yeah, I mean,
the unsung heroes of the recording world.
well, hopefully now the slightly more sung heroes of the recording world.
Yeah.
Again, I remember going to Capitol with you, and they're being set up for. Can we say the artist?
It was a while ago, so I'm sure we can.
The Bob Dylan session.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
And looking out and going, hang on, that's where he's standing. Where's his mic?
Yeah.
Well,
and there was a mic right in front of him, but it was funny because on those sessions, so on the first session, Bob came. We knew we were going to do it. It was just his band, so it was drums, acoustic bass, guitar, 2 guitars, one kind of acoustic, one electric, and then like a pedal steel. He had a guy who played pedal steel, and he played fiddle and mandolin.
Right.
And we knew he didn't want to use headphones, so it was all going to be live in the room. And at one point we were setting up, and Bob was there, and he said something about, "Wow, it feels really good right here." And I went, "Okay," and I dropped the sandbag and told Al, I was like, "He likes it here." He said, "Great, that's where Bob goes." So we put the mic there, and then we set everybody up around him so everybody could see.
Yeah.
And we just did, those. I mean, we did like 50 songs. It ended up being like 3 or 4 albums. But it's all live. Like, there's no overdubs. I mean, we did multiple takes and we could edit stuff, but it's live. At one point, we were a few days into it, and Bob says, Steve, come on here. Okay, so I run out and say, "Yeah, Bob, what's up?" He says, "I can't hear the acoustic guitar." I said, "Oh," I walked over and said, "Get up." And I pulled the chair about 4 feet closer. "What about now?" He said, "Yes." Okay, great. That was my headphone mix.
I remember say that session going around going, right, I'm in proper learn mode. And I look down and there's a little 18-inch kick drum with a D12 microphone in it, and a snare drum with a notepad and brushes. And the notepad was what he played rather than the snare drum.
Yeah.
And a stereo C24.
C24 over the top. Yeah.
I was like, that's the drums. Result.
Yep.
Awesome.
I mean, really all he played was the notepad. I mean, he might have hit a cymbal once in a blue moon. But it was really just that notepad. So, and then everybody else had one mic, and that was it. Yeah, I think we had like
12 mics on a Bob Dylan session. Awesome.
If that. I mean, and then we had one mic in the room, just an Omni, like an M49, I think. So what do we have? We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, like 10 or 11 microphones total. Because one guy had steel and fiddle, and so he might have had 3 mics, but there was only ever one on at a time.
Right. Oh, I love it.
Yeah. And then basically live mixes. We did have some mix sessions, but I'd say 80% of the records are Al's live mixes, which is great.
But that's because Al's doing everything to tape anyway, isn't he? Everything was done to tape, mixed to tape. So pretty much, I remember say one of the first days at Mix with the Masters when everyone's going, "I'm not doing it." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm in." And you put Peg Up on the board, and you just looked at me and went, and I went, flat line. Put everything up to 0. There's the mix.
Pretty much.
I was like,
yep.
And say the funny story. We were recording. Oh, what was her name? It was Celeste.
Celeste, yeah, that was Celeste and Robo, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and amazing female singer. And there's one point at which you know, it's the only session where you've got like 17 engineers all in the room, all at the same time. And at one point, you're going around going, "This is the thing. This is the Al thing. This is the thing you want to watch." And we're all like properly
waiting for something to happen.
And then you realise it's happening because this. This was a compressor.
Mm-hmm.
The most sensitive compressor in history.
Right. If it moved.
Yeah.
Like I always say, you know, sometimes Al fixing the bass was Al going and talking to the bass player. Or talking, you know, or talking to the guitar player. Hey, it's a little dull. Can you know? Oh, okay, no problem, Al. You know, and or I mean, sometimes he'd move a mic or stuff, but yeah, it was the way Al recorded is actually very simple. I mean, there's a lot to it. There was a lot of preparation and a lot of, you know, skill and a lot of experience and all that kind of stuff. But the actual session was actually fairly simple. Because yeah, I mean, we very rarely EQ'd stuff. I mean, you know, we were lucky we had really good mics, really good players. So if you know, I mean, there's the whole myth of Al Schmidt never used an EQ. Nah, that's not true. He used EQ all the time, but never when he was recording. Usually, you know, if we got stuff to mix, if down the line a record we were doing and we had overdubbed a bunch of stuff and something needed to be bright, of course Al would hit. You know, but we put a good EQ on it too. It was a good GML or a good, you know, Neve or something like that. But he wasn't opposed to it. He just didn't like to do it. If he could get away without it, he would.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, they talk about like all those Diana Krall records. They were no EQ through mastering, totally flat through mastering.
Wow.
Although the first 3 hours of mastering were us changing tape heads on the tape machine to see which one we liked. So there's, you know, and then are we going to use the tube, you know, chain or the solid state chain? You know, so there were decisions being made. They just weren't being made with EQs and compressors. So, you know, the same as with the recording. Oh, let's move him over there. It sounds funny in the room there. Let's move it over there and see what happens. Stuff like that. Still fun.
It's having the bravery to make those sort of decisions, isn't it? When you're set and rolling, you think something's not right, but how do we fix it? And having the bravery to.
And having sometimes, I mean, I learned it from him, but sometimes it's really hard to be 2 takes into something and go, you know what, there's something bothering me here. We got to change a mic. Like the vocal doesn't sound right, or or I think it can be better. Like, you know what, the 47 isn't the right mic for her. Like, you know what, she's going to sound better on an M49. Let's switch it out. And to be able to kind of stop a session and go, no, I think this will be better. It can be intimidating sometimes.
Yeah.
But, you know, you go with your gut. You know, you try not to be in the way, but sometimes you want to make it better. So, and it's really satisfying when you put up the other mic and they start singing and everybody goes, "Oh, wow, yeah, that's so much better." It's like, yeah,
that's the one.
Yeah. You know, then you don't feel so bad. What sucks is when you have to stop a session because something's broken, you know, or you weren't prepared. You know, they showed up with, I mean, you always have to be ready for the thing that they didn't tell you about. But, you know, oh, you know, you go back to, oh, we told you there was going to be a fiddle. Like, ooh, we screwed up. But that very rarely happens. Thank God.
Well, and most of these places you're working, they have mic lockers to enter most studios.
Yeah, but it still can be rough sometimes, you know. No matter where you are, I mean, a lot of those mics are old. So, I mean, a mic that worked fine for the last week could suddenly today decide that today's not the day it's going to work. So you have to deal with that kind of stuff. You know, again, being prepared, always have stuff ready to go. You know, have an alternative on big sessions. I always have a couple mics sitting on the side, warmed up, waiting to, you know, swap it out. Like, even if it's not the same mic, like it's close enough, better than nothing. Get it up there.
Yeah.
So.
This one's making noise. That one isn't.
Exactly. And you also have to have a good staff, a good team. You know, you have to have a good assistant and a good, you know, good guys on the floor that can swap a mic quick in the middle of an orchestra without, you know, dropping a stand on a violin. Yeah, exactly.
Crunch. What was that? Oh, the bow's now in 3 pieces. Yeah,
exactly. And most of the time, the bow and the violin are worth more than the microphone.
Yeah, I've often said that the difference between, you know, if a meter ruler is day one, week one with a 4-track versus pick your legendary studio, Abbey Road, Capitol, wherever. Most of us in our home studios can get up here.
Yeah.
That last 10 centimeters is 10 million quid. It's the building.
Yeah.
It's the infrastructure. It's the maintenance team. It's the assistants, the runners, the person who's getting lunch. It's all that other stuff. It's not sonically, really.
Well,
If you're close, if
no.
you're close miking, it's not that much different.
Exactly. If you're a guy playing guitar in your home studio, you're probably not doing much more than I'm doing in a big studio. You're
Yeah.
putting a mic, 4 inches in front of your amp and, printing it. So, I mean, the big studios are great for what the big studios do, but especially in this day and age, they're not always necessary.
Mm,
That being said, sometimes you get a lot more work done in the same 3-hour period if you're in a good room.
yeah.
And you can
And
move quickly and have all that
and
stuff at your disposal
and
yeah.
likewise, I mean, Paul and I have said hundreds of times we can do more videos together. And
Mhm.
it's different, but the fact that you're working together means you can move faster. Whereas doing it on
100%.
your own, it's
Yeah. Well, for me, it's like having a control surface as opposed to a mouse.
yeah,
I can mix with a mouse, but I can only do one thing at a time. Where if you watch me mix, I mean, I have 17 faders, a couple
mhm,
S1s and a dock. I mean, my fingers are on multiple faders at a time.
yeah,
Just because that's the way I learned how to do it. Or, you're in the middle of writing a vocal and something popped up and you just lean over and, pull it down or whatever. So yeah, I like being able to do more than one thing at a time, which is nice. So hopefully you put yourself in the position to be able to do that, whether it's at a home studio or at a big studio. Most of the stuff I have in my studio is here for my convenience. My mixes don't sound better because I have two S1s. My
it,
mixing is easier to me because I have them. But no audio goes through those things.
mm.
So, yeah,
Steve, it has been an absolute pleasure to catch up. I'm glad you're feeling better. I'm gonna
absolutely.
get on and talk guitars to people now.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to like hijack that. I just saw you guys were
No,
on and I
no,
just meant to tell you that I was feeling better and then I was on the show.
that's your mistake, buddy, not mine. We will catch up soon, I'm sure.
Absolutely. We'll have to
And
talk about summer. Maybe a Nashville trip is in order.
maybe I might have to try
Yeah.
and see whose arm I
You
can
know
bend.
what? I didn't drink as much at this NAMM. Maybe that was the problem. I was being a good boy, and this is the only one I've come home sick from. Damn.
I'm not going to say a word because I think I drank
No,
for most of us.
I'm kidding. I was a good boy on purpose, but that's not why I
Well,
got sick.
that's mainly because you were driving backwards and forwards.
Yeah, on purpose
Yeah,
because my days of NAMM chaos in the evenings are over.
yeah, right,
I like a good party once in a while, but I can't do that anymore. So,
cool.
because I have to
Uh,
work this week.
yeah, yeah. Me too, theoretically.
Yeah,
Steve, thanks so much for joining us, man.
my pleasure. Hope you feel better.
Thank you, sir. Yes, I will see you very soon.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Cheers, buddy.
Bye.
Right. Thank you, Steve. Amazing stuff. Let's talk about some guitars and get the news on. We're in there, so I'm going to do this. So we were Paul and I on the last day. Um, we actually walked the floor in a proper zigzag, pretty much the whole thing. Paul didn't let me loose in the drum department, but quite frankly, by that point, I don't think my ears could have handled it anyway. But we did stop up with these guys. The company are called Aristides Guitars. And I thought that Paul was going to walk up to them and go, "What the heck is going on?" But you know what? I think he was in love. Their new T style, I can't think why he'd like that, was an absolute moment of genius of a guitar. Beautiful thing. We both played it and went, "This is yummy." Now, they're not made of wood, they are made of a kind of glass reinforced polymer body thing with glass balls inside. Really, really interesting guitars. To the point where for about 2.5 grand, you get something absolutely amazing. And I was like, yes, that's really, really interesting. So the T style was a very, very beautiful guitar. And the kind of all the fit and finish and everything was absolutely stunning. And we shot a video with them. So there'll be a video of this baby coming very, very shortly. I think the next day or two. Lovely guitar, played beautifully, and I thought that is where guitar playing or guitar design and guitar building can get to. That's as interesting as it will go at the moment. I was like, lovely, lovely instrument, and it plays beautifully. Sticking with all things guitar just for a moment. These guys, once again, I thought Paul was going to have an absolute fit when he saw the Cream Guitars booth, but he was all over them like a rash. Really lovely guitars. I mean, something like that as a booth, that's actually their booth at NAMM, is not a cheap thing to conceive. But the guitars themselves were really, really lovely. Quite funky looking and quite retro, but well, kind of modern retro, if that makes sense. I'm not sure it does, but hey. Now this was really interesting. The Palmer Supreme Soaker, which is an amp, like an amp top box, their load box, along the lines of something like an aux box or a tube amp expander. Really, really cool thing. They've come at it slightly differently, very much more with amp tone in mind. But yeah, really, really cool box. Hoping to get one of those. We have friends in, excuse me, low places at Palmer. So hopefully one of those will be winging its way to us fairly shortly. I don't normally get excited by pedals, but this thing, the End Game from KMA, was very, very cool. One of the problems we all have these days on silent stages and all that sort of stuff is that, say, load boxes, speaker simulators, all that sort of stuff tends to be quite big, tends to be overly feature rich, and you just get too much tweakability. Whereas actually this thing is quite brilliant because it's a speaker emulator. It's it's not a load box, but it's basically the end of your silent guitar chain where you're not using a real amp. Very, very cool thing. Again, we've got one of those coming, but they've thought of a lot of stuff like stereo effects loops, headphone outputs, line level IO, balanced IO, which again is really important. Just a really, really cool thing. And they've really packed a lot into this box. There's a proper dual mode, like a fattening mode for guitar for lead stuff. Just a really, really nice thing. Beautifully built. I love the artwork on KMA pedals. Lots of options, but not too many. Basically, once you've got your sound, that'll be it. You'll probably end up leaving it where it is. Very, very cool pedal. I look forward to getting that one for trying. We briefly scooted by. Oh, I love the way everything's changed in my downtime. We briefly scooted by the Ernie Ball stand to see the new Rabir Massad Ernie Ball Music Man Sabre design guitar. I mean, I look at guitars and go, it's a guitar, but I wouldn't say that the brown one really did it for me, but the grey one, I think so. Kind of grey, beigey, browny color, really, really pretty guitar. Totally what Rabir should be playing. It's a beautiful thing, and I want one badly. It's that or a Luke. That's where I'm at for it. This got a lot of love at the show, but I'll be totally honest. When we went to see the team at Positive Grid, It was like they couldn't be bothered to talk to us. I know we talked about this on Sunday's live stream, but about 10 minutes before we went on air, I went on air. I bought one. I was on the pre-order thing because it's not that much more expensive than a Spark 40, but gives you an awful lot more features. And I was like, that's just cool. And they're knocking 50 quid off the pre-order price at the minute. So I bought that and a battery. And I am really looking forward to trying this thing out. And I think just for, for rehearsals and small gigs and club gigs, things like that, or even as, as I said before, a barbecue speaker, the fact it's got a battery in it is very, very cool. Last thing I've got in my kind of news segment, as it were, is this baby. This is the new Waves Super Rack live mixing box that allows you, when you have your hardware connected to your machine via Dante or via Maddie. This is a VST3 processor, so you can use your plugins that you would normally use in your DAW live with your console or live with your analog console in the studio. Really, really cool thing. I was like, that's just got some serious power in it. Now, there have been companies that have tried it before, and they've always been horrifically expensive. This time, if I'm right, it's $600 for the unit. And I'm like, that's very, very cool. So if I'm in the right ballpark, I can't believe that I would be for that. But the idea of being able to have your VST plugins running on a live console, so you can have your studio sound when you go out live. Someone like Al Lindsay, that is, will absolutely adore that, I think. And if it is that competitively priced, then it's going to be awesome. Now, I need to try and find where my mouse has gone so I can bring that back and I can lose that. So I'm going to plow on through the comments we've got so far. I am very sorry that I muted the mic and forgot to unmute it because I'm an idiot, clearly. So G-Man says, really enjoyed the Rats video of the Thomas Blug and his Amp X demo. Looks and sounds great. Yep, I'm looking forward to it too. £5,000 for an amp. Eek. I think that was reference to the new Victories. I think. I don't think Amp X can be £5,000. I don't think. John Waller, Andy G, another Kiesel. New guitar date even. This time a headless Delos with a swirl paint silver purple tropical tremolo bar. Picked up last week a Kiesel Connect event in California down the road from NAMM. Lovely. As and when, John, as and when you're willing to show off your wares, maybe next Wednesday, I'd love to see it. John Wright, do you think we'll ever get an HPF and LPF in Tonex? High pass filter and low pass filter in Tonex software and hardware. A Power AQ would be so much more useful in tone to me. I agree. High pass filter is always useful to get rid of the bass rumble, and if you want to get rid of some of those cutting highs, a low pass filter too. So maybe I can't say for certain, but it would make sense. I agree. Alan McDonald, Namthrax, indeed. Feel better, James. Feel better. Yeah, we'll do. R.L. Lynch, Tonex has a long way to go being a new product. QC came out hot, but didn't even make the show this year. Ampex was the most exciting and can't wait to hear it for real. Yeah, the Quad Cortex or Neural DSP booth was a great big soon, like 4-foot letters saying soon. That's a lot of money to waste on putting 4 letters in the middle of a booth. Clearly, things either went wrong with their development or with NAMM. We don't entirely know which. And I suspect we'll probably never find out. That's fit. Just tuned in. See you sniffing with Namthrax. Yes, I think we're all suffering a little bit. John Waller, Fort Wayne is just a small city, so not a lot to do outside of visiting Sweetwater. Yeah, but I like the idea of visiting what we Brits refer to as the flyover states. You know, we go to New York and the East Coast, we go to California and the West Coast. We don't stop in the middle because that's where the bad lands, and I don't like to think of it like that. I really enjoy, visiting the middle bit. Um, I've been to quite a bit of what might be referred to as Middle America, and I think we're going to drive. We'll pick up a car in New York and drive. It'll be much more fun. Eric Dodd, I'm an hour away from now. Have a meet and greet. Have a meet and greet. But you buy the beer. Yeah, we got through quite a lot of beer. Eric Vandenhoff, NAMM is like record fairs. Have a chat with like-minded crazy people. You're absolutely right. Yes, I know I'm muted. I know I'm a moron. I've sorted it. Promise. I promise. Yes, all right. Mute's on. Yes. Trying to call. You didn't call me, did you? Because my phone's on and no one's called me. That's very strange, though. Very strange. It's a good thing I can read lips, says G-Man Music. And sorry, Jeff, I totally missed this. Thank you, mate. I'm not muted anymore, promise. Keith Axtell says, excited about Ampex, but I prefer they ship it now with the features it has, all the metal amps and software updates. It has a lot of delays. It's had a lot of delays. Yes, it has. But Thomas is Thomas, and he won't ship it till it's ready. John Waller, I got a quad Cortex this past week, and I'm loving it, especially the UI. Now it has that Cortex control. It's really the best UI design for how my mind works. It also sounds great. When Paul and I got them, we were both deeply saddened by how it sounded and how it felt. Hence, we got rid of them. Electric Owl says, we stayed at the Hilton on the up, and the upload from our room was like 10 megabits. Yeah, we made a mistake. We got it wrong. I thought doing it from the show floor was the way to go, but not so much. John Waller, I don't care too much about the lack of plugin support. The QC already has enough modes and captures to satisfy me. Yep, plenty of people say that. Maybe quick vote. Just say yes if you think Paul and I should get one again. Just a yes. That'll do, and it might be able to drive the traffic. It might drive our spending for the next few weeks. I want to buy some Tonex captures from you. Could you please give me some numbers, dB levels, where I should start my interface? So there's a really it depends on which interface you're using, Marco. It is entirely dependent on which interface you are using. The platform itself, be that the pedal or the software, has input and output meters on it. So stay in the green, sort of top end of the yellow. Don't go red, and you'll be fine. But again, I can't give you dB numbers and things like that because it depends on which interface you're using. So yeah, hopefully that will help. Paul's being offensive, nothing new there. Jay Wright, hope you get better soon, Paul. Try to do some picking anyway. Yeah. I'm late tonight. Hope you guys had a good time and didn't party too much. Yeah, we partied quite a bit. To be fair, though, we were in bed probably by midnight, at least by midnight, if not earlier than that most days, because we were starting so early. So yeah, it was rock and roll, but not totally rock and roll. Not rock and roll in excess. Ned says rock and roll black hole symmetry is a delay, reverb, and fuzz in one pedal in that order. It's great for ambient and shoegaze, but not only that, it was released maybe 4 years ago. Watch the demo; it seems good. Okay, we'll check that one out. Patois says, Jivey, I watched your coverage of NAMM from various YouTubers, including you guys. A lot of brand repping and so on. But what's the best thing you have seen for the first time that you think will get big? Oh, well, I'm going to say the AIM audio microphones because I hope they get big because I've got skin in the game, as they say. Pacifica is going to be huge. It will be. Because it just will be, because it's a Yamaha product and they don't do stuff by halves. Other than that, yeah, it's a difficult one. There wasn't that much absolutely 100% new stuff So difficult to say. See, Peps, good evening. Just got in now. So how about drums at NAMM? Anything new and hot? I didn't actually go and see much in the way of analog drum kits or conventional drum kits because it's just too loud. It's almost pointless having two or three cymbal manufacturers next to each other, and you've got 10 people bashing 7 bells out of cymbals. It's just not pleasant. So yeah, I bailed. I saw a couple of drums. The Yamaha, the drums in the Yamaha booth looked amazing. Dixon drums, I've got some great stuff out. But yeah, to be honest, C-Beps, I ran. I remember the last time I went to the Music Messe in Frankfurt, drums and percussion had one entire booth. One entire hall. Sorry, I opened the door. All you got out was. I shut the door and walked away. That was how much of a drummer I'm clearly not. David says, "Hello, David." Hollywood actress says, interesting and fascinating talk with Steve. As I'm a guitar player, so I apologize. I don't know much about producer engineering side. It's all about making the right choices at the right time for your music, be they ones on stage, be they ones in the studio. That's I think where Steve's coming from. It's about getting it right in the room and then not messing it up to tape or to disc these days. David Brose, did you check out the new Pacifica? Did you try the Freeman Plexi? Did you go and see Eric Johnson? And why not? Where's Paul? Couldn't hang. That's all. Cheers. David, Paul is down with Namthrax. Eric Johnson didn't see him. We tried the Pacifica. There's a video up. And did you try the Freeman Plexi? No, because getting on the Freeman booth was like getting near a thing that's difficult to get near. It was busy. Keith Axtell says, "That's Steve Genowick. How are old recordings translating into Atmos?" Interestingly, some do really well, some do really badly. It depends very much on the music, depends on the band. I was talking with another legendary mixer who I won't say at this point because he's not on the show. But yeah, very, very interesting about how some bands work in Atmos and some really don't. Has Paul got Namthrax? Yes, he has. And Shahar goes, I'm not sure what that means. Mike Hayton's in the house. Al mixed one of my favourite albums, Michael Franks with Larry Carlton and the Crusaders playing Pure Magic. Yep, that man recorded and mixed some of the finest music on earth. So, yeah. Patois, is this post-NAMM Q&A stream as per the title, or are you just a live dialogue between James and Steve? Sorry, if someone comes on and is going to help me out when Paul's not here, then I'm going to chat, and I'm lucky that Steve's a mate. So, Patois, if it's not your thing, sorry. Looking forward to hearing about the AIM mics and getting a pair of the top range model. Yes, I'm looking forward to getting a pair of those as well, even though I helped design them and build them. So, yeah, very, very soon. Thanks, Steve. I don't even know what that means for me. Sorry. Sounds like rough. Sounds like what Rough Guitars, who were also at NAMM, are trying to do using composite rather than organic materials. Yes, those Aristides guitars, great stuff. David Mead says Mark Knopfler guitar auction has ended. Money for Nothing Les Paul went for 460k and the 59 Birds for 500. Walk of Life Red Schecter made 330. That's an awful lot of money for those guitars. I mean, I know they're legendary, but wow. Okay, Dr. McFarlane Studios. Great meeting you and Paul at the show. Great meeting you too. Rumi says, James, do you think Fender is making a mistake by not being at NAMM? Yes, a massive mistake. Likewise, Gibson. Likewise, PRS. PRS, I've heard, have said they're never coming back. They don't need to. And if they don't need to, then fine. But I think Fender and Gibson are missing out. They don't have to come back in such a huge way. And I appreciate that. That will directly translate to people going, oh no, Fender and Gibson are really cutting back. What's the problem? So I don't know. I think they'll be back next time. Ruby says no to Quad Cortex, and Patois says yes to Quad Cortex. And Attila L, do we think the Ampex will give the Katana a good run for its money? They are different, bear in mind. Katana is not pretending to be a valve amp. It is an amp. It is an amp. It's not an amp modeler, really. I suppose it's a digital amp, a digitally processing amp with FX, whereas the Ampex is very much an analog thing with digital effects. So difficult to know, but I suspect there will be a certain amount of legs to try them next to each other. Who knows? We got to the end. We're an hour and a half in. My voice has just about survived. I think Paul's probably gone to bed because it looks like he bailed a while ago. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully Paul will be back next week. Sorry for the moment where I forgot to unmute my microphone. I suspect it was better that you didn't hear me than you heard me sneezing my way through that one. But we'll be back next week with more of the same. Thank you for joining me this evening. Thanks to Steve for coming on and saving me partly. And we'll see you again soon. Take care, everyone. Good night.